Hello everybody, just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you guys about our new channel, Clash Royale Moments, which, much like Overwatch Moments, is going to have some of the Wombo's combos, the biggest fails, and overall the best moments that the game has to offer. It's a game that Jeremy and I have a lot of fun playing, and so we thought we'd make a channel about it, and if you want to subscribe, follow the link below. Anyway, let's get started. Hello everybody, Disciple here with Hearthstone Curios. Now, Hearthstone's changed a ton over the years, and although cards, formats, and even ranking systems may come and go, or just change slightly over time, at the end of the day, the core game remains the same. But Hearthstone could have ended up being a very different game, and we actually have a lot of good information on some of the cancelled content and features that never even made it into the game in the first place. So without further ado, let's take a look at 7 things that got removed from Hearthstone and the type of impact they could have had if they did stay. So, to start off with, did you guys know that decks were originally planned to contain 60 cards instead of 30? It's actually super interesting to think about since it would have changed a ton of things about the game. Would we have been allowed to keep 4 copies of every card and 2 of every legendary? That might make the game much more expensive on a competitive level, but if the 2 and 1 legendary limit were kept the same, the decks would probably be way too inconsistent. Moreover, strategies like mill and fatigue decks wouldn't be viable at all, and players would have to mulligan much more conservatively since the larger the deck, the more chances that you get inconsistent or bad draws. We're definitely glad that they decided to make the limit 30 instead, as it's made for a much smoother and better game overall. Another interesting point is that Hearthstone's original name was Warcraft Legends. This name has both pros and cons over the current name, as it ties in the WoW and Warcraft universe name slightly better, but also sounds like something a casual phone game player might be less inclined to pick up. Since Blizzard's goal was to make this an easy to jump into game for a wide variety of audiences, they made the name Hearthstone Heroes of Warcraft, which has a warm and friendly feel, but still did a good job tying into the Warcraft universe for fans of both games to be able to enjoy the flavor, character, and storyline. Something else that Blizzard did away with was a world map, which the player could travel and play AI games against different characters to unlock new regions. This would have been really cool, but again, Blizzard wanted to keep Hearthstone a pretty simple game anyone could pick up, and although we're not getting any new adventures anymore, they were definitely a good implementation of playing AI opponents in new and exciting ways. And this is actually something I would like to see explored in the future, since right now the game does feel very one-dimensional, with really the only real game mode being playing against someone else on the ranked ladder, and everything else just being really on the side, where you can play against AI, or play against other players in casual, or play the Tavern Brawl a few times a week, with Arena being the only one with actual substance, but it still doesn't really feel like there's much of an arena scene or a lot of support for it. So if there was a lot more that you could do against AI, or maybe even traveling around the world map and playing PvP for your own faction or something like that, it could be really cool and bring a lot of new depth into the game. Blizzard also tried a lot of different visual gimmicks, including games taking place in the woods, adventure books that would open to different things and be used as a menu of sorts, and even things like 3D and holographic cards in the game itself. Again, the developers decided to get rid of these things in the name of simplicity, and clearly it turned out very well since Hearthstone is a very successful game, and the cleanness of the UI is definitely one of the strongest points that Hearthstone has going for it. Golden cards are a perfect balance between people wanting their decks to look nice and have special cards, but also not clogging up collections with different versions of the same card like holographics, etc. 3D cards or animations would have also probably clogged up the board and made the game state a bit harder to see, as well as made it harder for the devs to program the phone version. All in all, getting rid of all these fancy aesthetics was probably a good thing for the game overall, although it would have been cool to see a little bit more of what this used to look like, and maybe see it explored a little bit more with things like legendary card animations or the like. Another thing Blizzard tried was using the Gurabashi Arena as the matchmaking system, with you and your opponent being on 2 sides of the arena, and other people's names and matches floating through overhead. This would have actually been a pretty cool feature, but the current match wheel has the benefit of being both fast and having entertainment value with all of the memes on it, so it's likely the best and most elegant solution while also being very simple and pretty much having anyone understand it.
Now, one lesser known mechanical feature that Blizzard originally had planned was a graveyard. Most card games do have a graveyard and a discard pile, but Blizzard decided that it made the game more complex than it needed to be and did away with it. Now, this is kind of a shame since it does limit the design space a little bit on certain cards, but the devs have done a great job of working around that with cards like Sherazin Corpse Flower that do replicate graveyard effects from other games in creative ways. In a game like Magic the Gathering, Sherazin Corpse Flower might have the text that if you are able to play 4 cards in one turn, you instead return that card from your graveyard to the board, as opposed to just having it lie dormant and then come back to life on your own board. Priest has also played around a little bit with the graveyard effect with Resurrect and Onyx Bishop, but one of the big differences is that you can't actually see the minions that have died so far this game, whereas in a graveyard you typically are able to see everything that's in it. And Warlock even has their discard pile mechanic now with Cruel Dinomancer summoning a card that was discarded earlier in the game, but again you can't see it, so you do have to remember all of the cards that were discarded or that died. The devs also really wanted to speed up the game, and they tried having players draw cards at the end of their turn rather than at the start. Now, this did have some problems though, since you already knew your hand while the opponent was taking their turn, and it took away the feeling of maybe getting a lucky top deck and just replaced it with the, oh, I guess no matter what I do, I lose. And so they did go back to the start of the turn card draw that we know and love today. Now, it's pretty interesting to think about how this would have been, but overall it does feel like a pretty weird mechanic, especially since pretty much every card game has you draw a card at the beginning of the turn, and it would just feel a lot different. And of course, the feeling of top decking something at the beginning of your turn that allows you to deal with your opponent's play definitely feels really good, and it's one of those feelings that does keep players coming back to the game and keep on playing. Now anyway, those are some of the cancelled or removed features that were originally going to be in the game at some point. Now I'm curious if you guys liked any of them and would have liked to see them in the game, or if you think that they're all pretty much better off having not made it into Hearthstone at all. I definitely think that there might have been room for a couple of the changes, but that overall, the Hearthstone team's actually done a pretty damn good job at it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. You're seriously the best. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.